So hey guys, today is a very informative session because I came across Quico quite recently when I was going through Zerodha, and I went through Quico's website. I'm not going to explain what Quico is. That Vishvajit is going to explain everything. But when I saw their platform, it was super easy, super simple, and I thought it'll help a lot of millennials, to understand their taxes and stuff like that. So I'm going to let Vishwa continue. And Vishwa is the founder of Quico. He's taken his time to come and educate us all with relation to taxes for millennials. So over to you, Vishwa. Just a brief introduction of you and what is Quico, what is the journey of Quico, and what are you trying to solve in the market?
All right, Shashank, thanks for those kind words. So first of all, thank you for having me here today. Very rarely does Texas get space on social media, right? Nobody wants to talk about Texas.
Yeah.
But you've been doing some fantastic work. I've been really fascinated with everything you are doing at Avalon Meta, and I think it's kind of evident that we are having this discussion because I think we all need hands-on training with our personal finances, right?
Yeah.
That's something missing in our curriculum. Nobody teaches us how to manage our finances, how to do our taxes. We mostly delegate it out of fear. It's usually a black box for a lot of people, very young people.
Correct.
It was black box for me when I was straight out of college, my first job, right? So I think kind of backtrack. I founded Quico 4 or 5 years back. Before that, I worked in US for about 10 years at large investment banks, building fintech platforms. And it was very evident to me that taxes is something very central, yet not a lot of people pay attention, because at the end of the day, it's summary of your year, right? You bought a new house, or you started a new job, or you bought a car, invested in stocks, right? Those are all important milestones in your life, and your taxes is essentially summary of that. So you should take control of it, is what I felt, right? And that's why we built Quico. So Quico is a quintessential do-it-yourself tax platform. Our understanding of taxes is very different than anybody else. What we think is tax platform needs to be connected everywhere. It needs to be connected in brokerage platforms, banks, investment platforms, e-commerce platforms, payment gateways, right? You name it. It should be connected. Your data should flow easily. So that's what we are trying to do here at Quico. We are one, one partnership at a time. We are kind of plugging into ecosystem, all your favorite apps, giving you that easy portability of data, because you are, as a customer, you are the owner of that data, right? So that's what we are trying to do at Quico. So we are simplifying taxes for the DIY generation, which is I know a lot of your target audiences that generation. And it would be very interesting to talk about a lot of these things here.
Yeah, so I think what you mentioned was bang on point, right? When you came out of college, and personal finance is like a black box because they don't teach this to you when you're in college and school, right? And it's very sad that they don't teach you, because your entire life depends on personal finances. And the same goes, there's a black box when it comes to taxes. So when I came out, even though I was from a finance background, when it came to taxes for millennials especially, there's always this fear of the unknown, right? Because we feel it's very complicated, and this make it sound also very complicated: ATC, ATD, ATG, and there are some 10 or 15 ATs in that section, right? And that's just personal taxes. I won't even go to capital gains and then property tax and stuff. It just makes people scared, and a lot of people think that leave it. No, I won't focus on this. I'll just give it to my CA, or my dad has a CA, so I'll file my taxes to them as well. And these guys come do the basic thing and walk away, right? They don't help you so much as to how to reduce taxes. And for people who don't have that CA opportunity as well, as soon as they start their career, they're not fully aware of all the ways that they can actually save money. And the government actually helps you save money. It's not like they're only saying pay me taxes, right? They help you save taxes. So when I realized this, I realized that a lot of people have the fear of the unknown. That is why they have that fear. And people should take advantage of things like ATC. When I came out, when I was working as well in the first job, I didn't know what ATC was, and I could save 1.5 lakhs and save it for myself and still deduct my tax from it and not pay taxes worth 1.5 lakhs. So these are the small things that I realized. But what is a fascinating thing I saw with your platform, which I didn't see with other platforms. I'll tell you that, right? Now, if I have to go to a CA and give my returns and he will file it, etc. What's up? Okay, that happens, constantly happens. But since a lot of millennial generation today is also getting into trading, right? Especially
Right.
with zero account and different kind of ICICI securities, HDFC securities, and stuff like that. I saw that Quico is linking their platform for taxes, which is your taxes, directly to these demat accounts, right? So that
Right.
I don't have to sit and worry about my
About
capital
my
gain.
capital gain.
Uh, Vansh, can you mute yourself? Yeah. So I don't have to worry about whether it's capital gains for long term or is it short term capital gains or stuff like that. So what was your idea behind that? Because no one in the market is currently linking it to the demat account and doing it from that.
No, absolutely. So, I mean, that's why, I mean, there's a cliche, right? We are not a fintech company, we are a tech fin company, right? So, there's always
Yeah.
technology first. And Zerodha has always been, ahead of the curve, right?
Yeah.
So they have something called Kite APIs. I mean, a lot of Zerodha users, a lot of DIY traders kind of have come to love those Kite APIs because they have been great platforms built on it.
Yeah.
I've seen individual traders kind of visualizing crazy dashboards using those APIs, right?
Yeah.
So we also stumbled upon those APIs a few years back, and we built out this integration even before Zerodha knew it, right? We started helping Zerodha traders import their data flawlessly, seamlessly by just simply logging into their Kite account.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of you who know Nitin, he is extremely obsessed about his audience. I think he is one of the entrepreneurs who always talks from customer point of view first, right? So when he called me up, he rang me up. His objective was, hey, dude, I mean, a lot of my target audience is very young. They are
Yeah.
just getting into market, and this taxes are killing us, man. I mean, it's so complicated. It's so
100%.
expensive a lot of times, right? Somebody who is just entering market with a small corpus should not be paying 10,000 rupees to a chartered accountant. It's just
Correct.
horrible, right?
Correct.
We want more people to participate in the capital markets, and I mean, as the name suggests, Zero, that you need to be getting rid of all the obstacles. Texas was one of the obstacles, which is why they invested in us. We are one of the Rain Matter investee startup.
Yeah.
So the idea from the outset was, how can um, um, we are all used to using Google OAuth and Facebook OAuth and giving access to third party apps to our data to improve the product experience, right? So Kite APIs kind of enables that OAuth mechanism for people who want to use that data that they own to prepare their taxes.
Yeah.
Other brokers, we are continuously working with them, one broker at a time.
Yeah.
I think in case of Zerodha, what makes it very sweet is you can just simply log in into Kite account, and we import all your trades, equity, delivery, intraday, all the derivative trades, a lot of nitty-gritty things that you as a trader don't know when it comes to taxes. We take care of all of that programmatically and give you a nice a view where I mean, as a trader, you usually look at trading data. Your ROIs are mostly pre-tax. You never get to see post-tax ROIs, right? That's very important for young target audiences to understand, right? I mean, uh, your money in the hand, money in the bank is post-tax ROI, and you should definitely be aware about your post-tax ROIs, and which is why you need to take control of your taxes.
Yeah.
So that journey has really worked. We have over 50,000 Zerodha customers come use Quico to do their taxes, and we hope to continue to help more and more traders do it through us.
So why do you think that this say, for example, a lot of millennials are not educated with taxes, right? They're not educated even in their school nor after coming out of school. And why do you think all these young millennials, one, are not educated so well, and have this thing that I should not be educated or scared of it, right? Why do you think a lot of people are scared of it?
No, I think it's changing, right, Shashank? I think we are becoming more participative democracy, right? Which we were not like 15, 20 years back. And I think taxes is a very important element of democracy. I mean, if you think about republic democracy, we all have to chip in, right? We all have to do our bit. that's, I mean, since we were talking about US election, that invariably every US election, that's one of the major talking points, right? Somebody wants to cut taxes, somebody wants to increase tax, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's changing. Increasingly, we see over past 4 or 5 years, we've been running this platform. We see more and more people trying to do it themselves because they are realizing that it's easier to do it themselves, because they are realizing that they need to know about it. Increasingly, government has started connecting more and more data, right? So if you are buying something off of Flipkart or Amazon or making expensive foreign trips and not filing your return, government knows about it, right? I think one very important thing that I would like to tell youngsters is, tax filing is essentially a reporting activity because your taxes are deducted throughout the year. When you get paid salary, there is something called TDS that gets deducted from your salary. So that's essentially your employer directly deducting taxes from your salary and depositing it with the government. So come end of the year, by filing a return, you are actually claiming that refund back in case you had done investments like you were talking about. So I mean, in US, while I was there for about 10 years, usually 1st April, which is their tax filing date, used to be something we all used to look forward to because we would get a fat refund that we would go spend on buying a mobile phone, smartphone, or a laptop, or a vacation. I think taxes is something you definitely need to know about. It is not a black box. It's essentially summary of your financial year. And there are platforms. There's increasingly more and more content. Zerodha has Varsity. Talking about capital markets. They also have a lot of chapters on taxes. We have something called learn.quicker.com where we have more than 1,000 articles. We do a ton of webinars. So there's a lot of support out there if you want to take charge of your taxes.
Yeah, I think that's super important for us, especially with the millennial audience, to understand the importance of taxes and not be scared or be like, okay, I know I don't want to learn this, it is too complicated and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, people focus a lot on making money over the year, trying to get a promotion, trying to earn extra money from the stock market. But no one understands that a big chunk goes in taxes, and you should also focus on that because that ends up saving you that money you've worked so hard for, right? Which a lot of people don't understand. So another question, right? So there are different, say for example, tax platforms like ClearTax and stuff like that, which are in the market. How are you guys different from them for the audience to understand? Okay, they should. A lot of people will ask me, ClearTax bhi to hai, kind of a thing, right? So is there any difference between both of y'all?
No, absolutely. I mean, more the merrier, right? There are more choices for customers. They can find the right fit for their income situation. I think the fundamental difference between ClearTax and us is ClearTax over the years has increasingly focused on chartered accountants itself as target audience, right? So the interfaces are quite utilitarian. It's for somebody who knows everything.
So it's more like a B2B to C kind of a model.
Yes, you could, if you consider chartered accountants businesses, then yes, it's a B2B2C, right? While we, like we talked about Zerodha integrations, we plug into, for example, Scriptbox, another great platform where people do a lot of investment. We plug into other brokerages, we plug into ICICI Direct, we plug into some neobanks now that are coming up, right? So our objective was that, taxes should not be this monumental once a year event. Right, it should happen over the year, right? As you trade, your tax data should get accumulated through seamless integrations. When you do transaction through bank, a lot of us are now doing entrepreneurship, right? So it's not just about capital market. A lot of us are actually running our own businesses, and I think in that case you need to all the more attention to compliances. So that's the fundamental difference. We plug into your favorite apps. We make sure that we give you easy portability of data around the year, not just at the end of year. You don't just bag bhar ke data leke aao and then just dump it on the tax filing platform. That's not the thought process, right? You bring your data through integrations that we have, and we do a lot of hand holding. It's extremely curated. I'll give you 5 things why you should file through quicker. Right, I don't know what
I think that would be beneficial.
Right? Number one reason why people get notices is because they don't put their name as per PAN. Very common mistake to make, right? My name is Vishvajit Sonagara. I might end up putting Vishvajit Sonagara.
Human
error, it's very easy to do that. That's the number one reason to get a notice. What we do is simply whenever you enter PAN, We don't even let you enter your name. We go pre-fill it from income tax database.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no scope for you to fat finger, typo it in. Number two is bank account details, right? If you want your refund, you have to punch in correct bank account number.
Yeah.
A lot of people apparently don't. They put in wrong bank account details, and then they are waiting for their refund for months at a time when they come to us, right? So what we do is, as soon as you put in your bank account details, we do a penny drop in your account and verify your bank account details, right? Number three thing is your Aadhaar has to be linked with your PAN. Now you go to any other platform, they don't care. You put in your Aadhaar, you put in your PAN, they'll let you file a return. If you get a notice, if it fails, you have to deal with it. What we do is, as soon as you enter Aadhaar, we check whether it's linked with PAN or not. And if it's not linked, we don't let you file the return. We educate you how you need to go link your PAN with Aadhaar. Right?
So you're saying that notice and all I won't get, then there's a lower chance of getting notice because usse dar lagta hai. They send it later with so much interest and penalty and stuff like that.
That's another thing, right? It's like I have a friend who says मैं doctor की photo लगाता हूँ, lawyer की लगाता हूँ, बाजू में chartered accountant की लगाता हूँ. Because I mean, it's high. That's how high regard you them in, because we are so scared of notices and things like that, right? So essentially, I mean, notices is nothing but a conversation between your government and you, right? Government is trying to ask you certain questions. If you have reported something in certain way, what I like to say is 90% notices are non-lethal, right? They are just inquiries. They are basic questions. Easily, I don't know if a lot of your target audience could know or not, but government is making monumental efforts to take it online, right? There's something called e-compliance portal now. So, I mean, it's India. Things will move slow. It will take time. But I think it's a step in right direction, right? Where you don't have to go and physically interact with someone, which is the most intimidating part about notices, right?
Yeah.
You can instead rather do it online, right? Just like somebody tweet messaged you and you DM them directly, right?
That would be easy.
So, I mean, there's nothing to worry about notices. As long as you are reporting your incomes correctly. Most of us are, getting salaries through bank accounts. Anybody who's doing trading is mostly doing digital transactions. So, I mean, there's nothing to worry about. You just have to report
do you guys work with CAs as well? Like, do you guys link to a CA if required or something like that? Or is it purely like a tech focused without any?
No, we do. Because we are not naive, right? We understand there will be situations, somebody who was a founding employee somewhere, had ESOPs and just recently converted ESOPs and has a huge landfall of capital gains. I mean, we don't expect that guy to fight it out alone, right? So we do connect our customers to chartered accountants whenever we feel necessary. Because I mean, there's a mindset in India. A lot of time you just simply want to delegate it to someone rather than worry about it yourself. What we increasingly have started doing is use technology more and more. So we use something called Loom, for example. We use we offer plans where, instead of doing expert assisted, we will essentially do something called a plus plan, where you come and it costs a little more, but a chartered accountant will get on a Google or a Zoom meet with you while you are filing your return, and explain it the whole way.
It's still cheaper than paying 10 grand to a CA, right? Or
exactly. It's still cheaper than paying 10 grand to a chartered accountant. The other thing is you get educated, and the next year you can do it for free or, at 1/10 the cost because you already know about it.
Understood. That makes sense. So another question, right? So a lot of our audience is either still in college or just finished college and, looking out for their first job, or they're already in a job. 3 different verticals we have with our audience target group, right? Now, for all the guys who are, say, still in college or just getting out of college, what is that one advice you would give them with relation to taxes if they're still in college, right? Because for them, when they're in college, they don't care about taxes. They're like, my parents are paying, why should I care about anything, right? But what would you tell them if you could go back in time and tell yourself when you were in college about taxes? What would you tell yourself?
Right. No, I think you already use a very important, I mean, if you are investing in markets, right, compounding is a very important concept that we all need to understand, right? And taxes are one such thing, right? So saving a small corpus every year in taxes can go a long way. And we all know the time compounding has the maximum benefit you get is when you do it over a longer period of time, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why you need to start early. Unfortunately for me, I mean, at very late age, I learned some of those things. I think one great thing about US is there's very early knowledge of 401k plans, and you start
Correct.
investing in retirement plans. You do Roth or regular 401ks in your first job, and you have to figure it out then and there whether how much you want to contribute and how much your employers are matching. I think some of that is missing in India. I think because we are such an informal economy, right? I mean, a lot of people don't have access to workplace retirement plans and things like that. So I think as more and more of us work in the mainstream economy, I think we'll have to get familiar with a lot of these concepts. So for youngsters, the other thing we see mostly with people first job, they think employers giving them Form 16 means their income tax return is filed. Right? So, which is not the case. Form 16 is just a certificate of the TDS that your employer has deducted. So you still need to go and file your taxes in order to claim that refund. So just having Form 16 is not sufficient. You need to file your return.
Correct. Makes sense. So I'm just checking some frequently asked questions that I've got a lot, and I think you've also got a lot with respect to, when it comes to saving taxes. So there was one question that what are the different things to keep in mind when you're new to taxes and you're just starting off in the capital markets, when you're stock trading or when you're doing that. There's a lot of confusion around that, right? Because there's STT and then there's LTCG. STCG, I'm going to give short forms, but it's basically long-term capital gains, short-term capital gains, security transaction tax. So when you're just entering in the stock market, you have no idea about it. You're only looking at, is Reliance going to go up today or not, right? So what are the few things that you would say is important when you're just trading into the capital markets?
Right. So I think, Shashank, you do a lot of, you are much more, you can give better advice as far as capital markets are concerned. I can talk more about taxes. But I mean, people who are investing in trading, some of the important things to keep in mind is, for example, something like tax loss harvesting, right? It's such an important concept.
This is something I'm trying to understand. I've read articles about tax loss. Can you please explain? Even I'm looking at it actively.
No, absolutely. So essentially, tax loss harvesting is you essentially capitalize your losses. You realize your losses, right, in the financial year, towards the end of financial year, and regain those positions. And hence, those losses can help you offset other taxable incomes and reduce your tax liability, right? So let's say on 30th of March, I exit my long-term positions, right? And regain those same long-term positions, but now I have realized losses. And I can then go offset those losses against other gains, other long-term gains, right? Or income from other sources like business profit, right? So and hence reduce my overall taxable income because those losses were there anyhow. I just realized those losses. Right?
Oh, okay, now I realize. So basically, before the year ends, if I'm holding a loss position in say a particular stock of minus 10,000, instead of just keeping it and carrying forward to the next day, I sell it and then rebuy it because now it shows minus 10,000 in my capital gain, so I can offset it with all my Okay, wow. Okay, that makes sense.
So it's such an easy trick, right? To essentially reduce your taxable income and in turn reduce your tax liability, right? So that could easily add 1 or 2% to your ROI if you do it right. Right. If you're operating with a small corpus. So that's number one thing. A lot of traders don't understand, traders don't understand is a concept of advanced tax, right? So advanced tax is essentially, pay as you earn, because just like all of us, the taxes that we pay helps governments run its budgets, right? So government needs money around the year. So they don't expect you to make money throughout the year and then come pay taxes at the end of the year. So you have to pay advance tax, something called advance tax that you have to pay every quarter. Now for investors and traders, it's a very complicated concept. For salary, it's straightforward. I know what my salary is around the year. I can simply calculate what my taxes are, divided by 12 and pay every quarter, right? For somebody who is trading, investing, your positions are fluid. Your realized profit losses are fluid. So every quarter you have to, calculate your advance tax and deposit it with the government. It's okay even if next quarter you incurred losses and hence you don't have that tax liability, you should still do it.
Yeah.
Because what we see is 90% of the time, traders, investors will come to us with positive positions, positive realized profits at the end of year, have interest penalties because they weren't paying advance tax throughout the year. So that kind of erodes away your ROIs, right? So that's something you need to keep in mind. And then just in general, common sense, right? If you have a share that you are holding for 364 days, the tax implications of it is 15%. But if you hold it for 365 days, it's 10%, right?
Yeah.
So just knowing the difference between short term and long term.
Yeah.
Right. Up until a couple of years ago, long term gains were completely exempt. But late finance minister Arun Jaitley introduced what is called grandfathering scheme. It's a grand confusing scheme. But essentially, up to 1 lakh long-term capital gains are completely exempt. So knowing those limits, right, would really go a long way in terms of saving you more in taxes. And then you can, that tax saved is essentially that capital you can then take and go invest back in market, and it earns you returns as well. So
yeah, it's money saved is money earned, right? That's how.
I'll give you a very interesting example. It actually plays contrary to what I said, but we often get traders who have huge liabilities, right? But advanced tax interest penalties are 1%. So a lot of these traders choose to say, rather than paying my taxes upfront to the government, what I would do is I would use that money and invest in markets, because I know I'll definitely make more than 1%, and then come back, pay those dues at the end of year. Oftentimes, what we see is the end of the year position is not same as what you had middle of the year, right? You end up paying more in penalties and things like that. So I wouldn't play Russian roulette with taxes. I mean, I would suggest everyone understand your taxes well, and I think it will go a long way.
Yeah, and also what I've realized, right, that a lot of people, when they trade in the stock market, they take a position somewhere, they make say 30% gains or 20% gains in a year, and they're very happy about it. That this year I beat the market and I made 20-25%, right? But nobody I've seen till date, when they talk about their profit, they don't talk about absolute returns. They talk about returns, but you need to talk about returns net taxes, right? Because at the end of the day, jo haath mein bachta hai, wahi important hai. Right?
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't factor that in. And even when they make 10% or 12%, like say you invest in a mutual fund or even in an FD, for example, a lot of people say, yes, it's 7% or it's 10%, 12% returns, but no one calculates the tax after that, right? And when they actually come to know this, when it goes to maturity and the thing actually comes out, and then you have to pay tax at the end of the day, then you're realizing, oh shit, I didn't know about this aspect. So I would say that whenever you guys start making money in the capital markets, whether it's stocks, mutual funds, fixed deposit, whatever you guys are doing, always factor in a percentage of taxes. But you need to also understand what kind of taxes you're paying, right? If you're holding a stock for less than 365 days, then it's short-term capital gains at 15%, right?
And short-term is 15%, yes.
Yeah, and 365 and above is 10%, which is called long-term capital gains. So knowing your gains is super important. Knowing your taxes is super. And you gave me one crazy tip today of tax loss harvesting, where one day before your tax filing, which is the last day of your tax filing, if you have any positions that are in loss, sell it, show the government that loss, but buy that stock again on the same day and restart that cycle for another, because it's loss, right? And you can offset loss with your profit when you're trading stock.
I wouldn't paint a broad brush like you did, but it depends on specific situation, right? So you have to see where you stand, right? What other income sources are. How volatile is the market for that day, right? Those are all important parameters.
That's true.
What are your transfer expenses, right? Do your transfer expenses overshadow any taxes you will save? Right? All those things, but absolutely, I mean, tax loss harvesting is, tax saving 101.
Risk reward ratio. I mean, if I can save a lot of taxes, then okay, thoda brokerage charges, thoda STT is fine to pay. But if it's a very small difference between each other, it's not worth doing that entire drama.
I'll give you an example, right? So let's say your income is, let's talk more realistically. We get a lot of people with very high income brackets, but let's say your income is 11 lakh rupees. Okay. Right? and let's say you have 1,10,000 rupees losses, right? Just realizing those losses and offsetting it will bring your income down to 9,90,000.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And you suddenly go from the highest bracket to a lower bracket, and you would be very surprised the savings component, tax savings component in it. I'll give you another crazy example. Let's say your income is 6,50,000 rupees, right? So up to 5 lakh, it's completely exempt. There's a rebate if your income is less than 5 lakh rupees, and then on 5 to 6.5 lakh, depending on new or old regime, there's 5 or 10% tax, right? So let's say your taxes are in ballpark of 7,500 rupees, right? Now, if you do ELSS mutual funds, or if you do any other tax saving FD or any other investment instrument under ATC and bring your income down to 5 lakh rupees, your taxes are zero.
Correct.
Right. So think about 7,500 rupees as a return on that 150,000 rupees investment.
Yeah.
That's a decent investment. That's a decent ROI, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Plus, you are earning returns on the investment you made. So
yeah,
and those are small things I would keep in mind.
Yeah. So guys, it's not like you're trading in the stock market. So जानबूझ के loss बनाओ to reduce your taxes. ऐसा मत करो. It is only in that unfortunate scenario where you are at a loss, you can use that loss to your advantage. Don't try to make losses because we said tax loss harvesting. So सब लोग loss बनाएंगे just to. No, please don't do that. Make profit. Pay your taxes, it's fine, but try to reduce it as much as possible according to the guidelines of the government is what we are saying. Okay. Right. I don't want people to quote us wrong saying loss banao aur fir ye karo. Okay, I think what we'll do is we'll take some questions and then we can stop it after that. So we'll take a few questions from the community. 1 second, let me look at some questions that people are asking, right? Guys, if you have any questions, you can put it here. We will start answering them one by one. You can put it in the chat and we will start answering them.
I think let's take this question, right? If my income is below 2.5 lakh rupees, right?
Okay, weird.
In the chat, I'm seeing in a chat. I think it's a very common question.
Okay.
Sorry for hijacking. If you don't mind me answering.
Yeah,
that's a very common situation, right? Because a lot of your target audience is very young. Maybe they haven't even started job. The only thing they're doing is trading, right? And it's logical to have your income less than 2.5 lakh rupees, right?
Yeah.
Now, the question that we get very often is, should I be filing my taxes? I would say you should always file your taxes, right? Let's say you are appearing for GREs or GMATs and going for your masters in US. Income tax returns help with your visas, right? A couple of years down the line, you would be buying your first house or your first car. In order for a bank to lend you money, they need some income history. Having that income tax return would help, right? And for some, situation like yours, if you are smart about it, it costs 0 rupees to file your income tax return. So it's not even expensive.
Yeah.
So I would take 15 minutes on Sunday off and do it. It's extremely cheap, but you should still be filing your returns. Don't avoid it.
Okay, perfect. So just to sum it up, even if you're making any kind of income, you should always file your taxes irrespective of what the taxes amount is. It's also good hygiene because when the government actually checks your history and stuff like that, they know that you're paying everything on time and you come off as a good person in the society kind of a thing. So it's actually good. Okay, so there's one question from Chintan Kamani. He said, just saw the website. How do you guys verify bank account, Aadhaar and PAN? Did you guys give them, did you guys ask them to give you access to their data or is it public? Basically that integration that you've done.
Right. So a lot of this data is, so for example, PAN, we are something called an e-return intermediary. We are registered with Income Tax Department to facilitate tax filing. So that's one great thing. Lately we have seen government departments opening it up to third-party developers, where government's job through utility is to provide basic minimum functionality. But for example, Quico is solving it. For example, our focus is on capital market. Right? Government is not going to do that. So through those licenses and accesses that we've got over a period of years, we enable a lot of this functionality. Since UPI has become so popular, it's very easy to verify bank account. Right? When it comes to Aadhaar and PAN linkage, there is a very nice utility on Income Tax Department website where you can put it in and you can see whether it's linked or not. So a lot of time we convert those into APIs and give it to you as a value addition when you are using our product.
Understood. So I think someone asked, what is advanced tax exactly? And if we're paying advanced tax, do we get some kind of benefit from it?
So advanced tax, like I said, is kind of pay as you earn, right? So as you earn income, you pay taxes rather than paying it all at once at the end of year, which has its downsides, right? If you pay all your taxes at the end of year, you incur interest penalties. So advanced tax kind of helps you stay on track with your taxes. You don't incur penalties. Over past, I think couple of years back, government CBDT also, finance minister also announced in a budget that there's a late filing fees. So that's something you should be aware of. So right, if you file it after the due date, so usually every year due date is 31st July, right? If you don't have an audit, and it used to be 30th of September if you do have an audit, right? So if you file after that due date, there are penalties. If your income is above 5 lakh, then it's 1,000 rupees. Above 10 lakh, then it's 5,000 rupees. Then if you file it after 31st December, then it even goes up. It's 10,000 rupees and 5,000 rupees, right? So pay your taxes on time. Make sure you file your returns on time. Save that money and invest it somewhere.
Yeah. So guys, money saved on taxes is money earned. And imagine if you keep saving money in taxes, right? I think we should, we should talk about ELSs as a mutual fund, right? Because that is the only unique tax saving mutual fund stock market linked tax saving scheme that I've seen, right? Because there are schemes. Yeah.
I'll make so there is now multiple options available. So apart from ELSs, there's also something called NPS, new pension scheme. So new pension scheme also, depending on what your age is, they have different categories. So you can invest in a category where it's equity leaning, where it almost has 80-90% equity asset allocation. The good thing about, I'm not selling NPS here, I just want to make sure you are aware of it. So it also has additional deduction under section 80 CCD 1B, right? So in addition to 1.5 lakh, you get an additional 50,000 rupees deduction if you do NPS, right?
Okay.
So there are multiple choices out there, but I mean, Shashank, you are right. I mean, if you invest in, you're getting to invest in capital markets, especially equity asset class, and yet you are saving taxes. There can't be a better deal.
So there was one more question that someone asked. What if I'm filing ITR for the first time after earning below 5 lakhs for several years? So basically, it's like I've not come under the radar, so I won't file taxes, which a lot of people do. And once they come over the radar, they actually sit and file taxes. So is that good or bad? That's what he's asking.
No, I mean, like I said, you should always be filing your taxes. And just because you did not get notice of a couple of years doesn't mean you will never ever get it. I mean, income tax department can scrutinize you up to 7 years. What I have seen mostly happening is, while you don't file taxes, you are trading, right? And income tax department has a partnership with SEBI to exchange data, right? So increasingly they do more and more analytics and data mining. You all know what data mining is. We've seen notices, like I said, you've been spending on a credit card and you've been buying off of Flipkart, but you're not filing your taxes. What's the deal, man? So I wouldn't take those chances. I would be a good citizen, file my taxes. The most important thing is, if you, for example, starting this year, there's all the more, actually, very good point. Starting this year, there's a huge motivation to be filing your taxes because there'll be TDS on your dividend, right? So up until now, dividend was completely exempt. Now there'll be a TDS on your dividend. So if you want to reclaim that TDS and get that as a refund, then you need to file taxes. You can't get that refund without filing taxes.
So guys, even if you're below the tax bracket, you're anyway not going to pay tax. It's zero, right? But it's always a good practice to keep filing your taxes. Even if you're making 1.5 lakhs or 2 lakhs income in a year, it's always good to file your taxes, even if it's zero at the end of the day, because it's good hygiene, it's good health. And, it also comes when tomorrow SEBI looks at you or, anyone is looking at you, they will know that you've not defaulted on anything. There is no late payments and interest payments, and you come off as a good individual. Your score looks very nice, right? Overall, you look like a very good person. So instead of not doing it, I know a lot of people don't do it in India. They're like, "Arey, jab bhi jayega above bracket, we will pay." But it's also good to do it before that as well. So just keep in mind that we are the new millennials, so we should not continue the old methods. We should become more civil about it. That's how we should take it. There was some question regarding something related to US. I don't understand this, but do you understand this? Someone asked, do we have anything similar to a Roth IRA in India where we can have control over where our money is invested and also save on capital gains? Not sure what.
So NPS is something you might want to take a look at, right? So Roth IRA is essentially your taxes are deducted while you do investments, right? So you already know the effect of taxes.
Okay.
In regular 401k, your essentially income is taxed when you do the withdrawal at the end of the scheme. So NPS is something you might want to look at. There is of course PPF and other privately run schemes that you could. But I think ELSS and NPS are the two tax deductible investment schemes where there's also an equity component, and you are all young chaps, so I'm pretty sure your asset allocation looks more like equity and less debt.
Okay. Also, guys, I think we've piqued a lot of interest in a lot of people today because now they're understanding different varieties of taxes and how you can actually save money for yourself, right? But I'm 100% sure, looking at the questions, that a lot of people are still slightly unsatisfied. Not unsatisfied, but their hunger for understanding more knowledge is still there, right? So I just wanted to say, guys, that Quico does a lot of webinars and stuff online where they start teaching you people about how to use Quico, how to save taxes and stuff like that, right? So they do a lot of these awareness stuff for the company as well, and they teach you about taxes. And as Vishwa said, there is Varsity, there is what is learnquico.com, right? There's also where you can go to learn.quico.com, where you can go and read more about these taxes. See, you might not understand everything about taxes on day one, but just Google it because everything is there on Google, and you should self-learn and attend such webinars and try to figure out. And even I've put some videos on the Meta app, so if you want to see it, you can see it. There's some basic knowledge on that. But to understand with examples, I think it's better to look at Learn Quico and Varsity Pro, Zerodha Varsity and stuff like that. So I think that's our time. Any last thoughts you want to give to our audience? They've been listening to both of us actually for a long time. So any last parting thoughts, or anything you would like to say to them?
No, I think, like I said, right, your taxes are a summary of your financial year, right? So don't shy away from it. Take control of your taxes. I think it's what we have seen is we have people who are aged 80 plus coming filing their taxes themselves for the first time, right? So I mean, it's not complicated. It's not a black box. And platforms like us, what we try to do is we try to curate it for you. There's a ton of help now. We do a lot of webinars, like Shashank, you said. So just take an initiative, and I'm pretty sure once you file it yourself, whether you do it through us or somewhere else, I think you will gain a lot of confidence.
And if we have people. Sorry, I think there's a so if I need to know when webinars are coming or where can I get updates, should I follow your Facebook page or Instagram page? Where do you guys update actively?
So I think we are most active on Twitter. So you can follow us on Twitter. We also have a very active Instagram page. You can go us follow there. We do something called bytes.quico.com, which is a newsletter. So every week, once a week, we send out a newsletter, which is more like a pocket-friendly tech/finance/ everything that youngsters care about. We talk about starting from Hong Kong protests to US election to crazy tech stories. So go subscribe to our newsletter, and that should keep you posted as far as taxes are concerned. And then we have Quora profiles. We have more than 5 million views there. So there are a ton of Quora answers there that we have written. Post us a question, and we'll make sure we answer your questions.
Perfect. So guys, I think that's the end of our session. I would really like to thank Vishwa for coming and taking out his time. I think their company is growing super fast right now after the massive integration that they've done, and he's taken out 1 hour of his time and given it to all of us. So I would like everyone to thank him for that. So thank you, Vishwa, for coming and educating this young audience about taxes and the importance of taxes in today's role for millennials, right? So I'm going to follow your newsletter because I think I need some daily dose of stuff like that. And you should do one article on tax harvesting if it's not there, because I'm going to read it again and go through it as well. So
What I'm going to do is I'm going to post you a few links that you can circulate. Some of the
I will do
concepts
that.
that we talked about.
Yeah,
Great.
best.
But I mean, hey, Shashank, man, thanks for having us. I mean, we always crave, as an entrepreneur, we always crave audience. So you are feeding the monster here, in a sense. I hope we were able to, make a slightly tiny difference in your target audience's understanding about Texas. And do come us check. Do
I
come
think
check
people
us
have
out
already
on
started
Twitter.com.
sharing all your links, by the way. The Trading Hacks 101 tax
I
harvesting.
know.
People are very
Yeah,
fast.
exactly.
Awesome, guys. I hope this helped you guys.
Super.
Even if it helped you by 1%, we're very happy about it. Thanks a lot again, Vishwa, and to your entire team for helping us do this and arrange this. And if you have any links that will help the audience to understand more, any blog articles, any videos, share it with me. We have a big community, so I'll share it there for everyone to have a look at it. Right? Perfect. Thank you, guys. Have
Absolutely.
a great week.
Cheers,
Have a
man.
great evening. Thank you, Vishwa.